Jalen Rose. What up, dog?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together we are Jalen Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We get a people what they want.
Jalen Rose, we had an absolutely thrilling game in Portland last night. Back and forth at the end of regulation. Ends up getting tied. And then there we are in overtime. Big shots getting made by both teams. What a game. Do you know what we went to? Double overtime. And in double overtime, again, it continued going back and forth. But of course, we're talking about this game first, not because it went to double overtime, because of that man right there who was having a great game, having a great season, went down with a horrific injury. Jusuf Nurkic, who's powered this team to so many great wins, went down with a horrific injury. He's got a broken leg, certainly not going to play anymore this year. What does this loss mean for the Blazers moving forward?
Wow, this was a devastating, horrific injury. And like you mentioned, it went to double overtime. So I'm enjoying the game. It was back and forth. It was a lot of great players. It was a lot of great performances. Both of these teams are in playoff contention. The Portland Trail Blazers and the Indiana Pacers have a lot of parallels this season for me. And we've talked about it on this show. How both of those teams have maintained a level of excellence and putting themselves in the top 5 of each conference without necessarily getting the respect that they deserve from the fans and the media. Mm-hmm. The Pacers lose their best player in Victor Oladipo. We're going to be interested to see what happens to them in the first round based on who they face. And now Portland loses their second or third best player. Now all of a sudden, you lose your anchor down low, a guy that just had a career high that game. And now all of a sudden, the Portland squad enters the playoffs after being swept last year in the first round as a 3 seed. They definitely won't be a favorite now in their 4-5 matchup, and that's unfortunate.
So it's interesting that you parallel those two teams, because the Pacers, when they lost Oladipo, were like, oh, there it is. But they continued to play that defense. The role player stepped up. Coach McMillan does a great job with that team, and they've proven that they're getting win after win after win, even after their best player goes down. It's interesting to see if this team, the Trailblazers, while not losing their best players, can continue success late into the season and into the playoffs when an important player goes down for them.
Well, this is why you sign Enes Kanter as a free agent after being released by the Knicks or bought out, because what ends up happening is he can get you offense.
He can
get you rebounding, and he's going to be another big body that can play those minutes. But to have both of those guys was going to give them something special.
It was supposed to be 15 minutes a game for Kanter, see if he's hot. Now it's going to be like 30 minutes a game for Kanter and hope he's hot. Well, this just makes me so sad because, Portland is a West Coast team. As you mentioned, they don't get mentioned too much in the media, but they've just had so many bad things happen to them. Just in the last decade, you remember Brandon Roy injury, Wesley Matthews injury, that Chandler Parsons shot. Remember that crazy shot? And they got swept by the Pelicans. It just seems like this fan base is all of a sudden one of the most tortured fan bases in the NBA that has a good team.
I know where you're going with that, and I'll flip it and say, let's talk about some of the good things that happened. They got 2 guys from small schools. One, Dame Dollar, has gone on to be a perennial All-NBA performer, and they made the playoffs each year he's been there, and then he resigns, falls in love with Portland, and hopes to be there a long time. CJ McCollum showed that he could be a 20-point scorer, and then you give him a big deal, and rightfully so. Now you have a backcourt of the future. That's something that a lot of teams are looking to have.
But let's not act like we weren't acting after the playoffs last year, asking the question, is this the backcourt of the future for the Trailblazers?
Correct, because to your point, they have not been able to advance as a collection. You would have hoped that this year would have given them the best opportunity to do so. Now that they don't have Nurkic, it's going to be tough to possibly even get out of the first round.
It's so awful when you see one of these devastating injuries happen, and obviously our hearts go out to Nurkic and the Trailblazers and all the fans. Get better soon, big fella. Moving on to another game that happened last night that was interesting. Devin Booker, who's not that far removed from a 70-point game. Devin Booker had 59 points in Utah last night. Again, 59 points in Utah, but they lost to the Jazz 125-92. I took a look at this box score. Booker was the only player in double figures. Ayton had 9. I think someone else had 7 and then someone 6. There was just, I've never seen a box score that looked like that. Is this indicative of just how explosive Booker is or just how broken the Suns' offense is?
Devin Booker is the best player in the NBA that wasn't an all-star and won't be all NBA. And I look forward to people trying to challenge me on that. Feel free. The next thing I want to say, he's the first guy to score over 50. And as you mentioned, he had 59. And his team lost by 30.
Yeah.
That has never happened in the history of the NBA. And how about for the Utah Jazz? A team that prides itself defensively has been on the wrong side of a couple of those big games the last couple of years. Before Donovan Mitchell arrived, remember, Kobe Bryant's final season, last game, scored 60 on Utah. This team acquired Crowder from Boston. He was present when Booker scored 70 on the Celtics. So this is why when he has 59 and the team puts him back in late to get his numbers, Utah Jazz like, oh no.
Let's take a look at what happened.
No.
Let's take a look at what happened when Booker, who has 59 points, goes back into the game. So here we go. You know, he's trying to get his 60. So that gets him up to 59. Now, there he is right there. Look at the clock. See, there's one possession left. One possession left. What are we going to do? Remember, 35-point game. What are we doing? Fouling. Cal Korver's fouling. Now, you know why that happened.
Well, it happened because the guy that got the rebound got to give him the ball immediately.
I just get out of your hands.
That's what gotta happen. You're not supposed to pass it to nobody else. They passed it to the guy, and then he got fouled. You got a dribble hand up. Last time I checked, didn't you say only one guy scored over 10?
Yes, it was 8. And not even. He had 9.
Okay, so when I get the rebound, I have X-ray vision on the guy that got 59. Okay? I'm giving him the ball. Okay? Because we're enamored with round numbers.
And there's only one reason he came in the game anyway. It's 35-point lead. Normally, you don't see someone of Devin Booker's caliber in the game with 21 seconds left.
How enamored are we with round numbers, though? Like, it's one thing to have 59, but 60.
It's only 3 less than James Harden's 62. James Harden scored 62. We're like, oh, give me MVP. Devin Booker gets 59. We're like, he's all right. Yeah, you know? All he need to do is make one more free throw.
And he's another young player that chose to re-sign. So for the Phoenix Suns, they're on the clock.
Oh, they are.
Because when you start having all of these lottery picks and you're still...
But I want to say this, is Oubre is out for the rest of the season, and he was balling.
He was.
He looked like a running mate for Booker before he got hurt and had to have that surgery.
Agreed.
Ayton is developing. I think that I do like the Suns' core, but it's hard when you lose like this.
So hard.
It's time.
Say goodbye.
For news that matters. The matchup in basketball over the weekend wasn't Zion against Taco Fall. It didn't even happen in the NBA. It happened between Javion and Demetrius, a couple of 5-year-olds in this basement. Check out this action. Javion's got the ball. Let's just watch and listen to the commentary.
Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, Demetrius. Wow. He just left you. Wow.
Sham got at him. And you know it's the basement because you see that support pole there.
All right. Okay.
That's how you know it's the basement. But the Sham got first. And this is true style, is when you get him once, you could have scored.
Wow.
But no, you bring him back out just to do it to Demetrius again. And the finish. Jalen, I have a 5-year-old. My 5-year-old is the greatest child in the world, but he cannot do that. What do you think about
Shout out to The Rock.
Demetrius and Javion?
Here's what I think. I wasn't able to do that when I was 5 either.
I know.
That's
impressive.
This is what I gotta show adults. Like, these young people are really advanced at a lot of stuff.
They really are.
Computers and their knowledge of technology, like sports and information and how they grasp and they practice. Like the first time, think about it, he right hand behind the back.
Yes.
Don't sleep on that. And brought it back out.
To his left, with his left.
And now, let's not sleep on the guy that's playing D, because he's only probably 5'2".
Yeah.
He was actually trying to play D.
He was. He had
stayed in
socks
front
on.
of him.
Poor Demetrius had socks on. That didn't help.
He stayed in front of him. He shut him off a little bit from the lane. He came back out. He got back in the stance.
Okay.
He got Sham, got it, and he slipped.
Yeah.
But how about this with both of them wearing socks? He still went up for the dunk.
Oh, yeah.
Don't sleep on the dunk.
The finish, and there's a trampoline down there. There's a treadmill.
Dunk. Look,
There's a stroller down there. Like, this is the greatest court I've ever seen. You don't forget Rucker Park. This is the greatest court I've ever seen. The couch down there and everything. Jalen Rose, you are famously still not retired from the NBA. Conor McGregor retired again? Did he? We'll discuss. But watch this first. Jalen Rose, still not retired from the NBA. Still not retired. We've talked about this for a couple of years now, and I still don't really have a straight answer as to why you're not retired.
There's no reason for me to be retired.
I don't know if you know this about yourself, but I know this about you. No one will ever pay you money to play basketball ever again.
Never say never.
If you retire, right, you can always unretire.
I don't want to fill out no paperwork.
You know what it is? It's paperwork. You don't like filling out paperwork. That's probably what it is. Has retired again. Let's see what the Notorious One put up on Twitter. Hey guys, quick announcement. I like how he starts it. Quick announcement, no big deal. I decided to retire from the sport formerly known as mixed martial art, no arts. Today, I wish all my old colleagues well going forward in competition. I now join my former partners on this venture, already in retirement. Great finish, proper pina coladas for everyone. Jalen, do you think Conor McGregor really retired?
I want to take you behind the curtain on something that Conor McGregor just did.
What's that?
As someone who made top dollar fighting Floyd Mayweather, established himself as not only one of the better pitchmen, getting sponsors, having endorsements in the world, his tweet gave me a real distinction. He called the sport mixed martial arts.
Art, he forgot the S. Little typo.
He didn't say UFC.
Yeah, he said it's a sport formerly known as mixed martial art.
He didn't say UFC, which lets me know that's who he's currently negotiating with. That's why at the end of it, he let them know, I'm getting my own bread now. It's pina colada bread. And the things we got going on with the whiskey, we got it popping. So I don't necessarily need the UFC. That's why he didn't name them. I don't need mixed martial art. That's why he left off the S. And therefore, if there's a signature notable fight for him to take, it's going to pay him top dollar, he'll take it. But he's not going to fight just a tomato can just to say he got in the ring to participate in the UFC.
Is this a negotiation retirement?
Yes, sir.
Is he going to fight again in the octagon for the UFC?
Yes, sir.
I think that's a very safe bet. So a lot of people are saying, oh, he was on Fallon just hours before this, but really wasn't. That was a pre-taped interview. So that's not really what happened. But it is notable that the sort of casual way, which he said a quick announcement, talks about proper pina coladas at the end. It doesn't feel like he went to somebody and prepared a real statement and had a true press conference and went out the way that you see athletes want to go out because they kind of want to be celebrated. This kind of felt like, I retire. I retire. Like the way Jay-Z retires every 2 years.
And also, unfortunately for Fallon, who I love his show, by the way, it now has people paying attention to, wait a minute, he recorded that 2 weeks ago? You know, is that the kind of material he's producing? You know what I mean? Because we're talking about it today, but it happened 2 weeks ago. The distinction is because we just now seeing it.
Yes, and it just, I don't know. I mean, I love Conor McGregor as a personality. I really do. But as a fighter, like Ronda Rousey before him, one of the most dominant UFC fighters you've seen, then all of a sudden loses, and then loses again. And then you saw that fight against Khabib, I was like, ooh, he's not just being beat now. Like him and Nate Diaz had a really nice trilogy. They would go back and forth, have bloody fights. But the Khabib fight was like, oh no, like he cannot compete against this man. There's no rematch to be had here. So I think he knows that as well, and he will not enter those kind of fights and compete at that level at the UFC again.
And a lot of times too, you see from those two athletes in particular, and it happens sometimes, and the athlete doesn't realize they do this, but all of a sudden when you're not the most dominant and you're not unbeatable,
feared,
Now all of a sudden you start to lash out at the media. You start to lash out at the public. Your warts start to show as people now that have lifted you up and told you how dominant and unbeatable you were, in your mind, have the nerve to question me? Like seriously? Like, I'm not the deal anymore? And that's a unique fall from grace that certain all-time greats get a chance to experience.
Conor, we wish you the best in your retirement, no matter how brief or how long it happens to be. He is a fascinating personality in the world of sports, but like few that we've seen before. Something tells me we haven't heard the last from the notorious one, Conor McGregor. A little bit of a follow-up here, a little bit more information trickling out, and someone tells me that this will continue to happen in regards to Lonzo Ball and Alan Foster and the Big Baller brand. Alan Foster, if you aren't up to speed, is a gentleman who part owner of the Big Baller brand.
16%.
16.3%, I believe, and he essentially is being accused of reportedly basically pilfering about $1.5 million from the Big Baller brand, and specifically Lonzo Ball, who has a controlling 53% stake in the brand. Lonzo has separated from it. This has all been all over the news. And of course, because it has to do with Lonzo Ball and the Lakers, we have LeBron James speaking on it. Here's what LeBron had to say. He said, quote, "I love the fact that he's taking control of his stuff. I mean, that's what's really, really dope to me. Once I saw the story, I just seen a kid turning into a man. This is my career, and I'm taking this. I done had enough. If I'm not going to be successful, I'm not going to be successful on my terms." What do you think about LeBron James' statement about Lonzo leaving Big Baller brand?
Predictable. How a guy that's an iconic basketball player and a champion who's become a mogul while playing should address a topic like this, because he's done what some many consider as unorthodox business practice, because he didn't follow the norm as it relates to his management situation and how he helped elevate Rich to now Rich owning the fact that he's become one of the better in the game. And now other players want to come sign with him. Same boards across the country, and Randy getting hired by the Lakers. And now all of these guys seem to be A&R producing and putting out movies at a breakneck speed. So I'm pretty sure that's the kind of success that Magic Johnson, LeBron James, who have both been moguls in their own right, want to see Lonzo Ball have with his career.
This won't be the last that we hear about this. This won't be the last we hear about Alan Foster and the Big Baller brand. We still haven't heard, at this point, from a gentleman named LeVar Ball. And that is going to happen sooner than later. What do you think LeVar is doing right now?
LeVar is basically managing his relationships with his kids. Because anytime someone that you allegedly brought to the table is accused of stealing, then you're accountable for that relationship. And so I think now it's about regaining and continuing to foster the respect and the trust business-wise of his kids, because you can still buy him out and the Big Baller brand can still go on. His 16% can be replaced. So I think that's what they're focusing on at this point.
Jalen, Rudy Gobert set a record last night for dunks in a season. But Jalen's going to tell us all who was watching very carefully that game, and especially Gobert's performance. We'll tell you who that was and why right after this.
Reese's eggs are back, and we hit them somewhere you'll never find.
Here at the South Street Seaport, and brought to you by Chase. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, Kyrie Irving and the Boston Celtics go to play Cleveland. A little different than a Cleveland Celtics matchup from last year. Cleveland Cavaliers are not trying to win games. The Celtics are. Kyrie Irving was asked about this return to a city where he won a championship, where he was celebrated by millions in a parade after winning a championship. And here's what he had to say. This is a tweet from Jared Weiss. He said, Kyrie Irving asked if it still means something to go back to Cleveland. Kyrie says, no, not at all. Okay. I don't want to do the media thing and read way too much into this, okay? He might have been a passing comment or whatever, but it seems to me that a city that embraced you the way that city did after that championship, it would mean something to play there, wouldn't it?
It's a form of reverse shade.
Oh.
Because Kyrie Irving understands that there's so many fans that wish he was still in a Cavs uniform, yet as players have the option to do, he decided that he didn't want to play there anymore. Mm-hmm. And when you do that and you end up going to a better team in a better situation, when you go back to your old scenario, they're not going to be happy to see you.
No. And it's also, he didn't just decide the same way like Kevin Durant decided not to stay in Oklahoma City. He requested a trade, which is viewed by the fans a little differently. You know what I mean? He basically said, like, I don't want to play with you. I know I'm still on contract for 2 years, but I really don't want to be here. And I'll submarine this whole franchise right now, which is why he probably heard some things from the Cleveland fans, which is why he said this, I imagine. But to me, as someone who works in the media, if I was a media consultant for Kyrie Irving, I would say, sir, this might be how you feel, but maybe don't have to be 100% honest about that.
The circumstances seem to be handled different because they were different. Kevin Durant left as a free agent.
Yes.
Kyrie Irving left, as Bill Simmons, the podfather, taught us, as a pre-agent. Mm-hmm. And so when you look around and you're basically the best player in KD's case as an MVP that just lost to the Golden State Warriors, and then you bounce and leave, it's like, oh, okay, these guys aren't good enough. When you're Kyrie Irving and a team that drafted you, you became an all-star. You became Uncle Drew. You became a terrific performer that did some amazing things with LeBron James and won a championship. You would hope that the level of respect that the scenarios will have for each other, Cleveland fans and Kyrie and or vice versa, would still trump anything about him asking to be out. So now when you make these comments, you make the fans, now their response is going to be a lot more angry and a lot more volatile than if you would have just been like, I love Cleveland, it did a lot for me, it didn't work out late, but hey, I'm looking forward to seeing some of the fans. But lastly, we kind of can't get mad at people for speaking in the microphones to the media about how they actually feel. Mm-hmm. So there's something to be said for the truth as well.
Well, he also could do the old load management thing, too. They say sometimes the load management happens a little selectively in the NBA.
This? I would bet, and I'm glad you went there, Kyrie already let it be known that he was going to miss some game. Mm-hmm. You want to make a gentleman's bet that he misses this game?
No, because he's probably going to miss this game.
I'm going to see if I can get somebody with that between now and when they play.
It's already been announced. So you got to find somebody that's not that up on the news.
Okay.
That he's missing this one. But he's going to miss a lot of games. He made it clear. He's like, I'm missing some games. Well, Rudy Gobert has quietly had a very good season for the Jazz. And not only that, he's had a historic season. You know why? He dunked, caught this little alley-oop. And this was his 200th and putback, 270th dunk. Okay? That breaks Dwight Howard's records as most dunks in a single season. Jalen, this is an accomplishment worth noting, but it's also worth mentioning that there's someone else who's paying very close attention to what Rudy Gobert is doing. Can you explain who that is and why they're paying such close attention?
The streets are watching you, Rudy Gobert, from Minnesota. And there's a guy named Karl Anthony Towns that in his contract, it's acknowledged that if he's able to make an all-NBA team, he can earn $35 million. Now, as a voter, I sense that the Joker in Denver is going to be on one of the teams. Mm-hmm. Joel Embiid is going to also be on one of the teams. And Anthony Davis won't this year because he's not playing for the Pelicans. So therefore, there's an open spot at third team All-NBA. So when they go to Karl Anthony Towns and they're like, so, you know, your team's out of the playoff
run with load management.
You know,
maybe reduce your minutes a little bit, make sure you don't get injured.
You know, you guys are fired.
He's like not going to be able to do it.
You traded Jimmy Butler. You shut down Derrick Rose. Like, would you consider sitting out?
Well, he's going to say no. And it's also, one thing that's important is it's if the 5-year contract he could get if he doesn't make All-NBA is 158.1. If he does make it, it's 189.7, which is a difference of over $31 million. Also, remember that car accident that Karl Anthony Towns got into? It was about 13 games ago. Let's just take a little look at how he was playing before that and after it. Now, I don't think the car accident made him better, but I think realizing that if he makes the All-NBA team and gets another $31 million made him a lot better. I mean, that's a jump, significant jump of 8 points right there. Look at the three-point percentage. I mean, he's shooting 50% in his last 13 games from three. Karl-Anthony Towns is balling. And I also want to ask you a question as someone played lead so long. How much of this is financially motivated?
I think there's a duality because the car accident puts you in position to appreciate all of the little things in life. As many times as we getting out of vehicles, get on and off airplanes, trains, buses, that anything could happen at any time. So you start to appreciate life.
He did mention that he's like, I could have died.
And that's first and foremost. Because you're going to still get 150 regardless.
That'll motivate you. A near-death experience will motivate you. But you know what else will motivate you?
31 more million.
$31 million.
Whoa, I got 13 games. I'm about to put up numbers. I got like 8 or 9 more. I am not mad at you, Big Cat. Stay tuned. He and Rudy Gobert will have to jostle it out for the final spot.
I would pick Karl-Anthony Towns, but we'll see. We'll see who the voters like yourself pick ultimately.
Neither one made All-Star. One team is going to make the playoffs. We'll see who makes All-NBA.
It is now time for What's Your Number? Rapper Young Jock got himself a haircut. He went to the barber. You go to the barber a lot, get yourself a haircut. Let's take a look at what Young Jock did with his hair. Oh, look at that. He's got Tupac Shakur in there with the real hair and everything. Not just his face tattooed, like shaved in there. He got his hair in there and everything. Now, Jalen, what's your number to have another man's head shaved into your head?
I'm not shaving another man's
That's
head.
not how this segment works.
Okay.
What's your number to have my face shaved into your head? What's the number?
Oh, tattoos are permanent.
That's not a tattoo, dog. That's just a haircut.
Oh, okay. I'm not as smart as I look. For just a haircut? Oh, I'll do that for $100,000.
Oh, I thought it was going to be something we could actually do. I thought you were going to be like, oh, $1,000. I would have put it up. But $100,000? Come on, you can just get it shaved the next day? Is that how ugly I am?
No, it's not. But see, that's not going to be in the fine print. See, here's what happens.
What?
All of these applications come up on our phone, and we do all of these things. We just put yes, 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 and don't read the fine print. If I was going to get $100,000 to cut your face into my head, I'm pretty sure the fine print will be you can't cut it off
you got
the next 24 hours.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Right.
But so, no, not even 24. You wouldn't live on this planet for 24 hours?
24 hours? I'd do it for $25,000.
You know what? You brought up something that's important. How many times has anyone in the history of mankind ever actually read the terms and conditions? Has anyone ever done that? Has anyone ever been like, you know what? Let me go check out these terms and conditions. They could be like, oh, by the way, all of your children are going to be now being given over to Instagram. I'd be like, yeah, fine. Click the box, terms and conditions, whatever.
Yeah.
No, I want to see the numbers of how many people actually click on, read the terms and conditions, and then go back and click on it. Jalen, there's so much news coming out of the NCAA tournament that we're going to need the help of Method Man to go through it. Next, keep it moving. Special NCAA tournament edition. Coach K consoled sobbing players from the other team after that game against UCF. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
A terrific gesture going against one of his former players and pupils, Johnny Dawkins, but they beat him. Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
March Madness history has not been made by a player, but by a 40-year-old neuropsychologist. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Gentleman named by the name of Greg Nigel, hope I said your name right, Greg, from Ohio has made history. Through the opening weekend, he has a perfect bracket. This is the first time in history it's ever been this deep into the tournament, having an absolutely perfect bracket. When they called him, USA Today called him up, he didn't even know that he had a perfect bracket, which is a bigger boss move. Having a perfect bracket or not knowing that you have a perfect bracket?
Having a perfect bracket. Because not knowing that you have a perfect bracket allows me to acknowledge that we try to put so much information and knowledge and homework into our bracket, but it's an inexact science.
Mm-hmm.
You never can really determine like what's going to happen, and chalk ruled the day.
Yes.
The majority of the time. So let's see how long he can keep it going.
So there's been probably over 48, somewhere around 50 games so far in the tournament. My math is bad, but something like that. And imagine a coin flip. I know they're not all coin flips, but imagine a coin flip. Imagine guessing a coin flip right that many times in a row. That's how hard this is to do.
Always guess heads.
Really? I go for tails sometimes.
Always take heads.
Moving on. Aaron Henry has finally addressed the incident that's been so talked about between him and Coach Izzo.
I need to hear this.
All right. Well, we all know exactly what happened between Henry and Izzo. You can see it right there. This is an intense coach-player conversation between him and the young freshman. And Henry spoke to the media, and here's exactly what he said about the incident. He said, quote, "I don't think it was a big deal. Someone had to tell me that I went viral after the game." I'm like, really? For that? Wow. I was playing so bad, offense, defense. I haven't played like that before. It's okay. He's going to yell. It's what he does. Can't listen to how he says it, just what he says. Jalen, you've played high level in high school, college, and the pros. What do you think about what Henry said? What do you think about the incident?
I learned this a long time ago. Young people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Oh.
And so when you're a coach like Tom Izzo, who gained the respect and the autonomy of the AD, of the coaching staff, of the parents, and then of the player, you understand when you sign your letter of intent that you're going to be coached really tough and you're going to be challenged each step of the way in order to get maximum performance out of you and out of the team. And in practice when that's not happening, in the games when that's not happening, when you're not taking care of business in your classwork, he's going to be right in your face to challenge you. I appreciate it. I welcome it. And that's the level, again, of respect that you earn from your team, not the other way around.
Gonzaga's Brandon Clark did something in the tournament that only David Robinson and Shaquille O'Neal have done before. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Clark had 36 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 blocks. The only other 2 players in the history of the tournament to have 35 points and 5 blocks in a game are Shaquille O'Neal and David Robinson. There's a lot of talk about Rui Hachimura, his teammate, but do you think that Clark's performances could vault him into a very high draft pick?
I think they not only can, but they have and will continue as they continue to progress throughout the NCAA tournament. And as you know, I'm giving them a term because they're not a Big 5 school. They are a mainstream Cinderella.
You know I don't like this term.
I know.
You know I don't like this. Why are you doing this again?
I know.
It's like you're trying to start another fight with me.
Because I want to acknowledge the greatness of a school that doesn't get the McDonald's All-Americans, that isn't getting the high-level recruits, yet Mark Few has been able to put this team in the NCAA tournament for 20 straight seasons, basically, and never left to take a bigger quote-unquote job.
That's a good point.
For a large check. So while they were once considered a Cinderella the first 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, now they're mainstream. So I want to see if they have an opportunity to legitimately cut down the nest this year.
So you know I go to bed early, and you know I have to focus on the NBA games on the West Coast. So I haven't seen a lot of Gonzaga, but I watched these 2 games. I'm like, oh, they could win it all. I watched this team like, oh, they could win it all. Like, I'm like, this Gonzaga team is impressive.
Just look at it like this. They have 2 guys that are definitely going in the lottery potentially that you just mentioned, Clark and Hachimura, but they're the only team this year to beat the Duke Blue Devils when they were at full strength.
Next, the University of California will target one of their most famous former players, Jason Kidd, as potential head coach. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
I'm looking forward to seeing him getting another opportunity coaching, whether it's at Cal or potentially with the Lakers. Keep it moving for now. If you follow this program, you already know that that's broken news.
UC Irvine had a nice little run in the tournament, but their coach is in the news for the wrong reasons. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Wrong reasons, hit the brakes.
Their coach, Ross Turner, tried to play mind games with Oregon Ducks forward Lewis King, called him Lewis Queen. Jalen Rose, what do you think about this from the head coach?
Well, it's 2019, and the gender jokes are corny, and they're played out, and they have no place in sports. just like rules have changed and how you could discipline your players, as we just mentioned with Tom Izzo, how your parents can discipline you at home with their level of physicality. Like, times have changed. And I want to make sure that women get the proper respect that they deserve. And you're not elevating the performance of a player that's a young man by saying that he performs like a woman, because the last time I checked, women are really good at a lot of things, including sports.
Better at most things than the male gender. And also, he didn't help himself when he explained it. Let's listen to him.
I would say a double team queen to try to see if I could irritate him. And I did. And I kept talking to my team about what we wanted to do. We were calling him queen because I knew it might irritate him because of how important he is to their team, like a queen in chess. It was a play on his name of king, and it bothered him. He started thinking about me, started thinking about Max. I utilized my voice best I can to help my team.
Where's LL when I need him?
You ain't talking about chess. You ain't talking about chess. You know you're not talking about chess. You know you're not talking about chess. So if it's bad enough to do in the first place, the cover-up sometimes is worse than the crime. Like, dude, just say you're wrong and move on. You don't have to say, oh, well, he's so valuable to the team the same way the queen piece is valuable to a chess team. Like, come on, man.
And newsflash to men. You're not more physically dominant. You're not better. You're not harder working than women just because you were born with the gender that you have. This is an archaic way of thinking. He had a microphone. He had a stage. It was his chance to own it. And unfortunately, as a leader of young people, he did not do it.
Don't cover up a mistake with another mistake. That's the lesson here. Okay, a player in the NCAA tournament took himself out of the game at a critical juncture because he thought it would be better for the team. Keep moving or hit the brake.
Hit the brakes.
Admiral Schofield took himself out of the end of Tennessee's game against Iowa with literally 14.6 seconds left because he thought that Kyle Alexander would have a better matchup. Jalen Rose, they ended up winning the game. But what do you think about taking yourself out of the game?
It's something that players normally don't do. Usually, and it's not because you're being selfish per se, which that could be part of it.
It doesn't mean you're scared either.
It doesn't mean you're scared, but you always think the next play is going to go in your favor, even if you've been struggling the entire game. So for a Tennessee team that has bought into a us mentality by their catchphrases, by how they go out and perform, they've been one of the better teams in the NCAA all year. These are the kind of things that when they happen during the NCAA tournament, David Jacoby, they create that momentum of this team first mentality.
Oh, you think this is going to help?
That can take you a long way.
Well, let's listen to the Admiral explain it.
Van was in a great flow, so I mean, I just made a sacrifice. So you know what, take me out. I got 4 fouls. You know, I'm kind of cold. I've been on the bench for a stretch of time and long periods of time. So take me out, put Kyle in. It's gonna change the game for us. And he did a great job on the boards. And knocking down that free throw to keep the lead where it was huge for us as well.
Oh no! We're in trouble.
Oh, what happened?
He coming for our jobs.
What happened?
Oh, he coming for our jobs.
He can't get my job.
If that was a coach, if that was Sean McVay, we'd be like, oh, a genius. Oh, my God, genius.
Yes, of course,
genius.
of course.
You remember every play. Oh, genius.
Yeah.
And like I told you guys, when that day happened, players could do that because not only did you watch it, you participated physically. So I like the way he just broke down everything. I had 4 fouls.
I was cold.
I was in and out of the lineup. I wasn't balling.
He was playing great.
He killed it on the boards. He killed it with effort. He made a free throw late.
And he did it all with a smile. Poise.
I like how he handled it.
I like the Admiral.
These are the type of things. Now remember, like
I love what you're doing here.
Team,
I love where you're taking it now.
Yeah, I didn't fill out a bracket. But I'm telling you, the best team in the NCAA tournament does not always win. It's the team that feels the best, that has the best momentum, that gets the best matchup, that has the best aura around the bus, on the plane, in the locker room. I'm telling you, this is something that if you're rooting for Tennessee, you should feel really good about not only how this young man handled it, but the mojo that I think this puts onto your team.
So this is why I love doing this show with you. Because I know you well. There's a part of me that's going to be like, oh, me? I would never take myself out of the game. I played this game in high school at a high level, college at a high level, NBA at a high level. I've taken myself out of the game 0 times. That's what I thought you were going to go. But instead, you said, this was great for the team. Now they're going to win the whole thing. You just never know which way you're going to go with this. Thank you so much, Jalen Rose and Method Man and the Admiral for keeping it moving and covering all the news in the NCAA tournament.
So, how are you?